Three. Hello, and welcome to Geeks Assembled. We've got a 1987 movie, directed by Steven Spielberg, credited, uh, written by Steven Spielberg, but there was quite a few writers involved in the movie. We are talking Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It stars Richard Dreyfuss, of course, in the lead role, Terry Garr in supporting role. We'll move around our little gathering here, so we'll go to Alex first for this movie. Over to you two.
Thank you. First saw this in the university theater that I ran in college, and it was so big and so exciting. And then I bought the video cassette and probably watched it 100 times. I love that kid. I love the I love how, there were people who saw the UFO who were burnt by the super bright, super powerful light from the UFO, and how they all just communicated with their eyes. Like they'd see each other across a field or along the roadside, and they would just communicate with their eyes. It's like they'd been given some more info, some more stuff, and that's really cool. And I love the little theme song. John Williams did a sweet job on the Alien theme song. Do 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 do. That one. I mean, it was really cool, and enjoyed watching it again to do this podcast. Here's Alex.
Okay. Well, I suppose it's good that it's almost 3 hours long, maybe, and the aliens aren't evil or nasty or anything like that. I don't know about I love the theme song. I didn't know we could do that here because I don't know if it's a copyright strike or not.
Sing it.
No. And then we're gonna have the irony of the fact that Johnny Williams, otherwise known as John Williams, did Star Wars. He did Close Encounters. He did Jaws. He did the original theme song for Lost in Space TV show. He's done a lot of stuff, and thankfully he's been in good health. It's a good movie, and I did like it, and it was unusual for 1977. And stay away from those mashed potatoes. No mountains. Don't be making any mountains with mashed potatoes. Unless Pringles tells you to, or Lay's, or Walkers.
Something or
yeah,
other.
so...
Or the aliens.
I mean, the kids are okay, and Terry Garr's okay, but I guess she kind of leaves him. So that's the other question too. If the translator and the French guy known as not in the movie but in real life as Truffaut, the acclaimed director, if he was right that somehow the aliens were able to hum to the human beings or call them, and that's why everybody was a little bit obsessed with getting there. In the extended versions, they show the aliens. I guess it's not really a spoiler in most versions. In the extended version, he goes up in the ship, and like I said, the aliens are good. There was some things that didn't make a lot of sense. It's a little long, but again, remember this is 1977, so back then that was actually very futuristic. It's great to see the lights in the movie screen. It's great to hear the music. It's great when they play the music and they test. They're sort of communicating music-wise and sign language-wise, sort of. But yeah, I probably would cut a few pieces myself off. But then again, I'm not a director. But it's a good movie. It's a great movie in many ways. It does make a change from Star Wars in a sense. It does make a change from a lot of the British, which I love, don't get me wrong, where they show kind of evil intentions. And for some reason, the aliens don't have evil intentions, even though they take people. So I don't know if that's trying to explain the Bermuda Triangle. And that was also a lot of the TV shows back then as well, trying to explain UFOs and dinosaurs and the Bermuda Triangle and all these other weird phenomena that they couldn't. They even had Leonard Nimoy narrating from Star Trek and the In Search of show that they were trying to explain these phenomena intellectually. And I guess there's a point where it's not intellectual. It's either there or it isn't. It's either a dream or it's real or both. And I suppose that's good. So yeah, it's a nice movie. I have it in my collection. Like I said, it makes a change. Originally Spielberg directed and helped produce the Columbo TV show in the early 70s. He had that TV movie called Duel that everybody likes with Dennis Weaver, I think it was, from McLeod. So it's very interesting too how if you really look at history, the producers are kind of connected and they go for 5, 10, 30 years, and then there's another producer or their apprentice comes up. And unfortunately, Spielberg hasn't done a lot of movies lately. He's helped produce some like Super 8, and I forgot what the other one was. But he hasn't done any recently. But yeah, I mean, back then, in the 70s, when you wanted the blockbuster and you didn't want something complicated like The Godfather or something like that, you could see Jaws, or you could see Close Encounters, or you could see Star Wars from Lucas, and they also collaborated on a lot of movies as well. So it's good, and it's also a piece of history. And of course, Richard Dreyfuss is semi-retired now. I guess he sort of took over from Jack Lemmon as being the frustrated everyman that nobody understands or necessarily likes. He kind of left his new girlfriend there with her kid and went up in the spaceship. So, yeah, I know that there was talk they wanted to do a sequel, but a sequel would just ruin it. Leave it be, and everything doesn't need a sequel like it does now, or a reboot.
Point.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't know where they would go with a sequel anyway, really. We'll go over to Stephen Price, and this film is from 1977, and who would believe it? Stephen Price was Mr. Wales, 1977. Over to you, Stephen.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, did I get the year wrong?
Mr. Umbrella, yeah, because it always rains here. Right, yeah, I went to see this movie with my dad. Said, let's go to the cinema. Some film out called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Let's go and see it. I'll pay for you. I thought, okay, and the queue was about a mile long. I thought, oh, God, we're never going to get in here. It was in an Odeon, which is been demolished now. It used to be just one big, massive cinema. Yes, I enjoyed it. It was. I watched it this afternoon. It hasn't aged at all. The effects of the time were excellent. Richard Dreyfuss is excellent. All the actors in it are excellent. I don't know if I put on the DVD. I think I put on just the normal one. I didn't put on the extended one, so I didn't see him going into the flying saucer at the end.
Thanks for that, Stephen.
And I bought it from Poundland last year.
Oh, well, I tell you now, you'll be all surprised here. This is one movie I do not own on DVD. shock horror. I thought I did.
No.
I searched high and low during the week, and I thought, well, I'm sure I had it, but I watched it. I got round to watching it some other way. What can we say? Yes, Steven Spielberg. He was the reigning king of directors in this era and beginning of the 80s. And you can see this is a forerunner of E.T. and Poltergeist. Because of all the special effects, of all the spooky things happening in the houses and stuff like that. Of course, E.T., the alien. The version I watched was where he enters into the spaceship. So I must have watched the extended version. It felt a bit extended, to be honest. I'm with Alex on it could have been cut. It seemed to be a bit long, and it dragged in places here and there, but it's still enjoyable. Richard Dreyfuss, brilliant actor. Going from a likable, sane working man to wild, wide-eyed, crazy guy throwing soil through his kitchen window, making mountains out of mashed potato and stuff like that. It is a good movie. As I agree, the special effects still astound me today. Just the way the flying saucers are zooming down the roads. Brilliant, brilliant. And of course, as it's been mentioned, John Williams with the tune, the iconic tune. Everybody in the world knows this tune. I enjoyed it. It's I haven't seen it for quite a few years now, so I sat down and I was thinking, when I first started to watch it, I think, what, I can't remember most of the story, but it all came back to me when I was watching it. So I enjoyed this. So any things you disliked or favourite moments? Anybody? I'll open the floor since if you ever see us.
Not dislikes, but favorite moments. I was pretty familiar with Moorhead or Moorcroft, Wyoming, where this the Devil's Tower is. I've driven through there, and I've been on Devil's Tower twice on the base, but it's so beautiful and it's so amazing, and like they really did capture how beautiful and how strange it is, just this basalt pillar thing with like a flat top in the middle of a bunch of farmland and ranch land. It was just like, it was so outer space. And and the it was pretty amazing. Like, oh, hello, look who's shown up. Let's let him answer the first question then.
Earth calling Beef Dad. Earth calling Beef Dad.
Yes.
Hello. We are discussing Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So let's have your opening thoughts, Mr. Keep.
Right, a brilliant film. Superbly written, brilliantly directed, incredibly well executed. I love it. It is one of my favourite films. As you can see, I have the Ultimate Edition, which is actually, it's got the theatrical version, the extended version, and the director's cut in it. And it is just so brilliant. And I love every minute of the film. And I love the special effects. They're so well done, so cleverly done. Brilliant.
Yeah, for a 1977 movie, as I said earlier before you popped in, the effects still.
Yeah, because that's the extraordinary thing about it. It was released the year my son was born.
So I like the fact that the mothership was way bigger than the whole Devil's Tower. It was like dwarfing the thing. That was so cool. Anyway, that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, it was. Well, the floor's open for favourite moments or things you wasn't too keen on the movie, and that Susan was talking through that when you popped in Beef Dad. So the floor is open for anybody to just.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late popping in, but I had big probs with the computer and I had to completely reset my Windows password and everything. But yeah,
You couldn't find the crank. That's what it was.
the wonderful thing is I loved the kid in it.
Yeah.
The little boy. He was remarkably like a child that I worked with in the Wild Kindergarten in Eichstätt here. Complete with that little turned up nose. He was superb. The woman who played his mother was brilliant. Richard Dreyfuss's wife, I must confess, got on my nerves in this, and I could understand why he ended up going off with the little boy's mum. I love Francois Truffaut's performance in this. He was just so good. He was just so good and totally convincing. There was some magical moments. I loved the bit where Francois Truffaut does the sign language to the little alien, and then the little alien does the sign language back, and that was just absolutely magic for me. I thought that was brilliant. But yeah, I loved the little aliens. I thought they were so sweet. They looked like a bunch of kids who'd obviously gone for a day out on Earth. But yeah, it's great. And yeah, the other magical moment for me was when he started absolutely destroying the garden and pinching his neighbour's fencing that kept her geese in and all that sort of thing. And then built that dirty, great big Devil's Peak. Is it Devil's Peak? Devil's something, whatever it is. The mountain.
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower in the kitchen. It was just absolutely crazy, but it was brilliant and worked so well.
And Stephen, any favourite moments there?
Yeah, like Sue, I agree with Susan. Favorite moment is the ship is just gigantic, bigger than that tower. I'd like to know what happened to Richard Dreyfuss. Where did he go? What planet did he land on and that? When he went in the ship?
Well, yeah, that's the question. But I mean, there is for me personally, I might have missed this in the movie. I don't know. But why was the aliens leaving planes, ships on the? I mean, was that explained? Because no, it was just happening. It was just happening, wasn't it?
Because one of the goofs is when somebody came off the plane, they had 1970s haircut instead of 1940s haircuts.
Yeah. Well, true. They sort of like humans, but they don't tell them everything. So they ran out of room and they had to get rid of a couple of ships. I mean, you know how it is. I mean, storage costs a lot of money.
So the gist of what I was they were bringing back all these people from the past, from the 1940s, or even before that, and they were taking people back with them. Is that right?
Yeah, some of
Why?
them.
But that wasn't explained either, was it?
No.
No. Maybe this was going to be explained in the so-called sequel.
It was just a mystery. It was just there for mystery. It wasn't there for explanation. You didn't need to be, spoon-fed a bunch of stuff. It was like, here's a story that's inexplicable and fun and science fiction-y.
Yeah, no, it was science fiction. I was just wondering why things were happening.
Another thing, all the people that come off the ship, nobody asked what year it was.
Well,
Well, maybe they'd been in deep freeze. They had been asleep all this time, and they was just woken up, so they didn't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Alex, I don't think we got to you about any moments, favorite moments or
yeah,
gripes.
I mean, like I said, I like the theme song. I like the music that they're doing. I like Truffaut a lot and his translator. Richard Dreyfuss is pretty good. I do like the building mountains out of mashed potatoes. And I mean, it's a great light show. I mean, it's one of the few science fiction movies with a really good light show and music added on there. It was a little mean that the army was trying to drug people, force them out, and if they couldn't get off the mountain, then they drugged them. So that was a little bit mean. So I guess it's like E.T. in the sense that the military, the police, and the scientists aren't exactly sweet. But I mean, again, that fits into the paranoia, a little bit of fear, a little bit of curiosity phenomenon stuff that was really big. I mean, there was tons of shows. Ripley's Believe It or Not, even though that went into the 80s, and In Search Of as well, that was in the 70s. All this talk about, and they mention it in the film, Bigfoot and all that. All these sort of weird things, whether you believe in it or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, the 1970s was like the heyday of UFO sightings. Wasn't it?
Yeah, and they had a lot of they had.
Hollywood jumped on the bandwagon sort of thing.
I mean, they couldn't even. It was so funny. There was another modern movie in the last 10 years, American Hustle, and they did the common myths about microwave ovens. That it takes all the nutrients out of your food. I mean, there was a lot of kind of well, I don't know if I'd call it misinformation now, but a lot of theories and a lot of old wives' tales. And remember too that this was the era of Evel Knievel, and so they had a lot of weird stuff in the 70s. Of course, you didn't need 3 college degrees to have a job, or to make money back then. But they had a lot of weird, theories and a lot of weird, jive talk and all this other, which is better than it is now in some ways. But they had a lot of theories and a lot of what was it? This was also the era of disco and the fondue pot and other hibachis and other weird.
Yes,
weird ideas.
We don't mention disco.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, not that it wasn't fun, but it was weird. I mean, they made a disco version of the theme song of the. So even though that wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either.
Yeah. All right, so I think we've been through everyone on the moments and gripes, so we will go to final say, seeing as Alex has still got the mic.
Oh, okay.
Final say and score.
Yeah, I'll have to give this a 9 purely for nostalgia factor. I mean, Spielberg did so many interesting movies, and they're still sort of imitated today. Jaws and E.T. and Close Encounters. I mean, they weren't perfect, but they pretty much, and then George Lucas, which he worked with, had the Star Wars and all that. So, I mean, those two between them pretty much were their own studio, still technically in a way are. And they basically came out with like 16 movies, maybe
Yeah.
more, that were very influential. I mean, you have Indiana Jones, you have Star Wars, you have E.T., Spielberg, you have Duel, that TV movie that's still imitated after 45
Yeah.
years. You have, episodes that they did or helped produce of Columbo. That's another TV show that was very influential. So yeah, I mean, they did, between them, it's pretty much like a studio between the two of them. Not perfect movies, but pretty close, and they're very influential. And I'm sure anybody in film school would probably agree with me. Not to mention the fact that you have Truffaut. I mean, a French director that was very influential in my family, and we watched a lot of his movies. Even though he's not directing
Sure.
in this movie, he's the
Sure.
French guy. He's the one with the translator. And he did well
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
50,
I mean,
he did well over 50
this,
movies
yeah.
himself. So between the three
Yeah.
influences here, you have almost 60 movies, if not more.
The
Yeah.
thing that I like
Truffaut,
about this
is
movie.
is rare. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, I was just saying, Truffaut's rare on-screen appearances. This is one of his mainstream
Yeah. So
appearance. I think this is what. Yeah.
yeah.
Carry
So
on. Sorry.
my enjoyment of this has never waned. It's still really, really cool. I love so much of this, and I love where it led. I love that the Greys were really more sort of fleshed out, and that was fun because I mean there'd been pictures of them and stuff like that, and then it led to the Stargate calling them the Asgard, and a whole bunch of other people referencing them in future movies. It's that was fun, and the fact that they were peaceful and good. I mean, Alex is right. No, none of the other aliens at the time were peaceful and good.
Well, E.T. was, but that
was later. Yeah. It was after this, but before this.
Wait a minute. You have the day the Earth stood still.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Again, they had a laser thing.
But
so.
the robot wasn't exactly powerless anyway.
Yeah.
So these aliens looked powerless, but they actually were really kind and good. And so, yeah, I'll give 10. I'll give it a 10. 10 little baby ships going into the mothership.
Cool. So I'm guessing that was a 10 then, Susan. Let's go to Stephen for his final say and score.
It hasn't aged at all. Great movie. It just deserves a 10.
Number 10. Right, let's go to Beef Dad.
Yeah, I agree with Steve on that. Stephen's absolutely right. It hasn't aged. I don't think it ever will. It's superbly done. I love the psychic link between the aliens and the people that want to be with them. I like that. I really like the idea of the psychic link. That was very, very clever. And yeah, Richard Dreyfuss. I love the half-tan face. Yeah. There's just so many magical moments in this film. And as I say, it came out the year my son was born. So it gets a 10 for me because it brings back so many memories, and not just of the science fiction films, but memories of my life at the time.
Oh, cool. And I see, you see that was 1, 2. That's 3 10s and 1 9. I'm going to side with Alex. I'm going to give it a 9. And I agreed with him earlier that, for me, personally, and Alex said he just needed editing down. Just been I think it's still an enjoyable movie. Do you want to say something, Alex? Are you muted?
Sorry about that. It seems to be lagging. I could barely hear Beef Dad at all.
Yeah.
I don't know on the subject of the movie. I haven't looked to see if there's any. I know that this was also the era of the '60s to the middle '80s, where they had, different TV versions, and they had different TV edits depending on the version that they got, and how, whether the network or the local stations had any editing. I know a couple of stations, even in Massachusetts, had a big editing block that they could actually take, scenes out and substitute them and stuff like that. But I don't know how many versions are around in 2018 as opposed to 1978.
Well, I just say, how many versions do you need of a movie, for God's sake? All you need is a movie, don't you? Really? Oh dear me. I am, and Beef Dad missed this because I said this before he came into the cast. This is one of the movies I don't own on DVD. Shock horror, as I said. I know. I thought I did. So it's high and low, come find one. Anyways, so yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. You out there, if you enjoy watching this rabble, just talking about movies and TV stuff, audios, get into it if you want to. Well, I use that term. I use that to leave fun. Sometimes it's a chore, but we don't complain much. So yeah, if you want to join us, get in touch. We'd like to see some new friendly faces. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're all over the place. YouTube, of course, and
Okay.
please give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Please leave a comment.
I was
Yes,
able
Alex?
to find at least 6 different versions, and they even had a version that said the original version, and they have the 30th anniversary version as well. So there's at least 6 versions. How much they cover, I don't know.
We're spoilt for choice. That's what we like doing this cast for. So variety. It's variety. And anyways, and on that note, we will sign off and we will see you next time. So take care, be safe, sleep well, and look up at the stars. Bye for now.